Hey guys, my name's Quills, and growing up, one of my favorite shows was Adventure Time. Surprise, surprise. Much like a lot of people, the characters, messages, and art design really spoke to me. Same with the other shows, Bravest Warriors, Distant Lands, and Fiona and Cake. And as everyone has already talked to death about the plot of these, I mean, who could really blame them? They're so fucking cool. I actually wanted to talk about it from a more creative perspective. You know, these shows share the same look and visual aspects, so I want to focus my attention on the history, appeal, and emulation of these animated projects, as we analyze the art style of Adventure Time, Bravest Warriors, Distant Lands, and Fiona and Cake. While I'm going to be talking about the art, spoilers and cuts of the shows will be used as examples, so you guys have been warned. I hope you guys enjoy. Well, firstly, explaining the history of the art is part of the art, and these mad shows came from the same mad mind of Pendleton Ward, an animation nerd and graduate student of Cal Art. After his student film, which was released on Cartoon Federator, he continued to work with them to create shorts for random cartoons for Nicktoons Network. Here he created shorts for the Bravest Warriors and Adventure Time pilot. While popular, especially the Adventure Time one, Penn pitched the show to Nickelodeon but was rejected, and in 2007, Penn began working on The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack as a writer and storyboard artist under the influence of the show's creator. And despite Nickelodeon's initial rejection, Adventure Time was actually picked up by Cartoon Network, and Adventure Time started airing on April 5th, 2010. And in 2012, Federator Studios developed The Bravest Warriors into a web series that you can actually find here on YouTube. And since then, Adventure Time has developed two other shows following the series ending. Distant Lands, which was kind of like multiple aspects of the Adventure Time story that they didn't get to fully cover, and Fiona and Cake, which was kind of like an alternate timeline and sequel to Adventure Time. You know, confusing. And that's kind of just the general gist of how the shows came to be. Now, as you can see, these shows have a lot of years to be created, developed, and mastered, which begs the question, what makes their story and art so appealing to this day? And I mean, for one, the art style is really unique, especially by the standards of the time. Early 2000 shows before the creation of Adventure Time had a specific visual appeal. You see, an animation in the early 2000s was still very experimental by different studios. Animation takes a lot of production time and work to make, so a lot of studios varied between different audiences. Nickelodeon was very colorful and simple, Disney was very fluid and kid-friendly, kind of. Cartoon Network at the time was very sharp and action-packed, yet all of these shows had very similar key features dictated by how animation was taught at the time. And I say at the time because animation is very different nowadays, okay? A lot of them shared the same aspects of sharp lines, bold line art, pose-to-pose movements, simple backgrounds, big eyes, joints in the limbs, and complex overarching stories. And as the development of Adventure Time was underway, I can't help but notice their approach to experimentation and art style was everything the cartoons weren't at the time. They had a lot of soft lines, features, non-tapering line art, simple eyes, round edges, noodle arms and legs, saturated colors, little to no noses in sight, and the most random plots I've ever seen episode to episode. Does anyone still get nightmares of the deer thing? Long story short, Adventure Time and the shows that followed found its style through experimenting different inspiration. An interview with Animation World Network showed that Penn has inspiration from his schooling at Cal Arts, his work on The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, the beautiful and stylistic creative moments of Howl's Moving Castle, home movies, Dr. Kratz's professional therapist, and his team's love of D&D. All these styles kinda gave me the vibe of hijinks and silliness, coupled with the beautiful storytelling and world building that would, I think, be the foundations of this show's appeal, which if I had to summarize from just the art style alone, I would say it was very simple, effective, and silly, which worked well to balance out the chaos and random story plots, and it also worked extremely well when in contrast with the darker episodes of the show. Here, the artists were able to break some of the rules in the art style to further the emotional contrast with detailed faces, darker color palettes, and even rigid designs. And as the show developed over time, certain aspects of the style were solidified. They still had their simple eyes, clear character designs, emotional color palettes, round features, soft edges, big shapes, and non-tapering line art, while other aspects of the show were improved in order to balance out the stronger elements. The backgrounds became more detailed in order to contrast with the simple characters, the animations developed to be more fluid and heavy over time as the team was developing, the coloring became more painterly and textured to draw attention back to the characters, and the background line art even became more colored, which blended in a lot better. All while the plot became more complex over time, so of course the art had to follow suit. And this just goes to show how this art style is able to stand the test of time by adapting to the years of what needed to be focused on and what needed to be improved, which is really hard for every artist to notice. I mean, if you work on a project for so long, I feel like you can become blind to the ways it can upgrade. I mean, if it works, why change it? But I think the team did a really good job of not letting themselves stay stagnant. And you can clearly tell that these shows were created with love. Every show had their own appeal of what they wanted at the time, and none of them were really the same. But I'm really proud of this show and these shows for finding their style and staying true to it. So the art style is amazing. Duh. And for those artists who are inspired and want to create something similar to this appeal, here's how we can work on that together, because who would I be if I didn't put my money where my mouth is? Since the show was animated, obviously they had style sheets and fundamental rules in order to keep the style consistent episode to episode. As my art professor used to say, the goal of the style sheet is to make your whole film look like it was animated by one person. Note that these are kind of just rules for the style, but your creative direction doesn't mean you have to follow them to a T. Over here you can see that I'm making an illustration, but I won't be following all the rules either, since the appeal for animation and illustrations differ. So if I had to make a list, here are some of the art style rules from the shows. Round shapes with little breaking, and what I mean by that is that the overall shape is very clear, yet there are still breaks for fabric or details. Simplified human proportion, like how I can grab this arm and kind of just flatten it. Expressive facial features, I mean, as simplistic as the faces can go, don't be scared to add creases for effect. I mean, look at them, they look really funny. I don't know what to call these hands, so let's just say Adventure Time hands. They're just little guys. Non-tapering line art. As a digital artist, this kills me to say, but I can't deny the lack of taper in these lines, so good luck to everyone else. It was really hard for me too, don't worry. Simple faces with round mouths, dot eyes, and very clear expressions. While this can vary from species in the show, majority of the characters have these little faces, and noses are kind of optional here. Noodle or simple joints, because imagine the rubber hose as a reference, as you will. I don't know how else to explain it. Or like spaghetti, if you guys just like have a spaghetti noodle and kind of just like jostle it around. Lightly textured or detailed backgrounds. Here we can see that the backgrounds don't draw away from the characters despite the detail, and that's because of the added contrast of a detailed background with a simple animated foreground character. Majority of the eyeline is drawn back to the character because obviously you want the audience to look at the character because you animated the little guy, so you just want a lot of the attention back onto the character, or the characters themselves. Rule of thirds. Majority of the shots that I've examined throughout these shows are very rule of thirds, but you could also just break these because, you know. Clear outfits and motifs. The character theme is very obvious and the style does a really good job of making it extremely clear to the viewer, as you can see here. Fitted clothing, simple pants, maybe jewelry, top-heavy outfits. A lot of the outfits that I've examined have been fitted with simple bottoms, jewelry as kind of either a detail or a sign of status, and a lot more detailed tops compared to the pants. Little to no dramatic lighting. Lighting effects are added in specific shots for drama, but majority of the show has even lighting throughout. So here I've used from what I've learned from the references from the shows to create this illustration, and I hope this way you'll be able to see how these rules can be applied and broken. I understand that it can be really hard to pick and choose, but experimenting can go a long way. This was a weird topic. I know. These shows have long since ended, and there are new shows coming out all the time, but I can't help but give my thanks to the most important shows in my life and break down what made everything so visually comforting to me. People can't deny the impact these shows had on the industry and the art community as a whole, and this show taught me a lot, and I hope that I was able to let you guys learn a little more of what I did. Links from all the sources are down below, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!